What up? It was Sunday night. It was football this week. So I'm here to talk about it. Let's start off with Sunday. What happened on early morning Sunday? It was the Broncos versus the Jets. I love this. I love this so much. So it was 13-11. This game was terrible. Do I have to talk about this game other than Justin Fields throwing 45 yards? Like, you know what? I'll say this: Jets need to fire Glenn. Either that or you just 80. Don't just get rid of everybody. Get rid of everybody. You guys stink. And it's funny because I hate you guys so much. Bo Nix went 19 for 30, 174 yards, one touchdown. J.K. Dobbins went 14 carries for 40 yards. Bo Nix on number 5 times for 24 yards. Aaron Ingram had the most receiving yards. He had 5 receptions, 42 yards. Well, it was Atkins who had 2 receptions, 23 yards, and 1 touchdown. He was wide open on that one. The Jets, I don't even want to talk about this fucking team. There's nothing I should say. Other than this game was terrible. Both teams sucked. And actually, you know what? If you want me to freaking say anything, just watch the game. Just watch the highlights. If they have 11 minutes, it should be like a minute. One highlight throughout the whole game. Field goals did not count. One highlight. It was nothing. This game was nothing. There was legit nothing good about this game. It was terrible to watch. Negative passing yards. Look, as a team, they have negative 10. It's not even. That's insane. That's just insane to have a negative. But the Broncos won. Keep rolling on with this train wreck of this week. The Seahawks played the Jaguars, and well. Seahawks won 20-12, and here's how it was. It was Sam Darnold who went 16 for 27, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, the third, had 10 carries, 34 yards, and Zach Cabonet had 12 carries for 24 yards. Jackson Smith Naamba had 8 receptions, 162 yards, and 1 touchdown, while also Cooper Kupp had 2 for 40 yards and 1 touchdown himself. While on the Jaguars side, it was Trevor Lawrence who actually did have a pretty decent game, but that didn't matter because their defense fucking sucks. He had 27 completions for 42 yards. 42 attempts. 258 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Travis Etienne had 12 carries for 27 yards. Brian Thompson Jr. did have 1 touchdown in the game. He had 8 receptions, 90 yards, and 1 catch that went for 26 yards into the end zone for Tim Patrick. Mostly just as I have to say is that both teams did play pretty well, but it was basically all dominated by the freaking Seattle's offense and the inconsistency on defense for the Jags. That's it. And their offense is kind of inconsistent, so. Otherwise than that, it is what it is for both teams. Here we go. Chargers and Dolphins. 29-27. Chargers winning in a walk-off goal. Justin Herbert went 29 for 38, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fidel. That's funny thing. Fidel. Kimani, Fidel, 18 carries, 124 yards. McClocken had 7 receptions, 100 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Keenan Allen had 4 receptions for 27 yards. I'm not saying all these names, bro. Tua went 21 for 32, 205 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, while Jalen Waller also had a pass that went for 8 yards. Devon Chan had 16 carries, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns himself. Jalen Waddle had 6 receptions, 95 yards, and it was it was Darren Waller who had 2 receptions, 12 yards, and wanted to win into the end zone. What can I say than the inefficient quarterbacking of Tua Tagovailoa? Bad coaching, bad defense. Do I even have the same one about the Dolphins? I mean, they fucking suck. Like, I'm tired of talking about these awful teams in the AFC East. And there's still one more to go. All right. Chargers won. They're 4-2. I'm pretty sure they're winning that division, right? They're leaders in that. Yeah, they are. Speaking of other leaders, I'll get to that game in soon. But it was time for some Rams and Ravens football. I mean, there's nothing to really talk about also in this game other than that the Rams are supposed to win anyways, but they won 17-3, which is even more funny. That they won by a fumble, basically. Like another one, they gave up the ball 3 times to the Ravens, but Cooper Kupp had like 11 pass, 11 for 19, 72 yards. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy sucks. 100 in. Something went down there. And then Tyler Huntley came in for 10, 15, and 68 yards. I mean, just fucking start Huntley. Like, fuck. Speaking of freaking Rams, the Rams quarterback, Matthew Stafford, went 17 for 28, 181 yards, and 1 touchdown. Karen Williams had 13 carries, 50 yards, and 1 touchdown himself. And it was Tyler Higbee who had 4 receptions, 40 yards, and 1 touchdown. Puka Nacua only had 2 for 28 and 4. And that's it. That guy, Derrick Henry, had 24 carries, 122 yards. So kind of a returner for him. Speaking of guys who were really good, Zay Flowers had 6 receptions, 46 yards. I don't even have to talk about this game other than a fucking terrible play by this team, because this team has no defense, 1 terrible quarterback play, and also a pretty bad offensive line. So it's just blah. Every time I watch the Ravens this season, it's been blah. Fucking. It was pretty bad weather-wise, so probably you can say, well, that's why the Rams only scored 17 points. I mean, like, y'all fuckers can't do nothing when we needed to. It was the Cardinals versus the goddamn Colts. What the fuck happened here? Like, this is amazing for the Colts right now. Colts won 31-27. Jacoby Brissett, almost said Kyler Murray, but I forgot he was injured. Went 27 for 44 yards. For 44 attempts. Had 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I mean, it's better than he played all last season. Michael Carter had 9 carries for 34 yards, and then Zavanovan Knight had 11 carries, 34 yards, and 1 touchdown. Zay Jones had 5 receptions and 79 yards and 1 touchdown, and 8 receptions, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown for, of course, Trey McBride. Speaking of, Marvin Harrison Jr. only had 2 catches. He had 32 yards. Speaking of other teams, Daniel Jones went 22 for 30, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jonathan Taylor went 21 carries, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown. Daniel Jones had 5 carries, 20 yards, 1 touchdown. Tyler Ward had 6 receptions, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. And Josh Downs had 4 receptions for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. Otherwise, it was a pretty good game, and I don't really have much to talk about other than it was a close game, and it was a good win by the Colts. And a great game for the Cardinals. These guys came close, but 4 points down. I mean, it's not really bad. This is just a learning game for the Cardinals right now, and it's a good game for the Colts, you know? This game is funny. 27-30, the Panthers walk it off to win the game. Dak Prescott went 25 for 34, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns. Javonte Williams went 13 carries, 39 yards. George Pickens, who is easily one of the best receivers in the league right now, went 9 receptions, 168 yards, 1 touchdown. Jake Ferguson, 3 receptions, 33 yards, 1 touchdown. And Hunter went 22 receptions, 7 yards, 1 touchdown. But on the Panthers, it was all Bryce Young, and Bryce Young had 9 He went 17 for 25, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Though Rico Down played a hell of a game in this revenge game for him. Basically, 30 carries, 183 yards. Rico Down also had a touchdown. He went 4 receptions, 56 yards, and 1 touchdown. Speaking of touchdowns, McMillan had three receptions, 29 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What can I say but bad play from the Cowboys, bad defensively, and they need to fix that because coming out of this, y'all looked really well. Defensively, you guys looked very well. On defense, but the problem is y'all need to learn. You know, there's not. How do I say this? Um, they need more help. Like they really do need the help here on on defense because look at this. You play a good game against the Packers and then a team like the Panthers, you let them walk off and win the game. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, I mean, what can you say about them Cowboys? Speaking of more about the NFL, it was time for a special game in my heart. It was a special game in my heart. As we all know, I'm a New England Patriot fan, and one thing I can say is the refs. I hate the refs. How? I don't care. You can. Hold on, how many penalties we had before anything? How many penalties? We had 11 fucking penalties, and I can only count like 4 of them that I really saw, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a Patriot penalty. But like half of them, come on. Bad refereeing. Y'all just want to screw New England, bro. Every year, something always on us. Speaking of that, I don't even want to read the Saints stats. I'm just gonna read what my team did, and you know what? If you want to look at the Saints stats, go look. Have a phone. Go on the internet. Do it. Now I'll read them off real quick. But here's what happened. Drake May went 18 for 26, 261 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And what is that? No entos. Right? He didn't throw to the other team. He doesn't believe in the other team. Drake May also called his number 9 times. He had 28 yards. Speaking of a guy that should be getting the ball more, Trayvon Henderson had 9 carries for 27 yards. While this bum ass on my team, Ramondre Stevenson, I want to like you, Ramondre. It's just every freaking week you have more and more reason. I get more and more reasons to get more pissed off at your dumbass every week. Speaking of that, he had 13 carries, 18 yards. Speaking of that, Keyshawn Bonnet had a hell of a game for us. That's right, Keyshawn Bonnet is the guy. And he had 5 receptions, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also, speaking of another guy who had another touchdown, Mario Douglas had 3 receptions, 71 yards, and 1 touchdown. Ember 8, Mr. Stephon Diggs had 3 receptions, 28 yards. Matt Collins had 2 receptions, 28 yards, 3 for Hunter Henry. He had 27 yards. 1 for Trayvon. He had 9. 1 for Austin Hooper. He had 5. So, yeah, that's how the Patriots offense looked. And Chisholm was even out on the field. This was Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler had 20 receptions for 20 out of 26. He went 227 yards. I just want to check it. just making sure. 200 for 27 yards. Didn't throw a touchdown or a freaking interception. Because fucking Patriots' defense sucks sometimes. Alvin Kamara had 10 carries for 31 yards. Kendre Miller had 8 carries for 21 yards. Chris Olave had 6 receptions for 98 yards and 5 for 45 for Alvin Kamara and 4 for Rashid Shaheed and 1 for Brandon Cooks. That's interesting. Speaking of interesting things, though, the New England Patriots did win, putting them at 4-2, which is amazing in my eyes. I know people are like, well, they have one of the easiest schedules. True, but you got to think about it. This is still New England Patriots. Like, I legit thought they were going to be like 3-3 or something. So to see them at 4-2 kind of makes me surprised, because I would have never seen this happening. As for us, I think we still need work on the defense because the defensive play caller must be either inept or something because he always calls the same zone plays, and they always end up for 25-yard passing receptions. Like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, you got like a couple interceptions here and there. That's because the player on the defense is playing real well. You know, and some of them. For a guy, I don't know why we got Robertson playing. I only hear his name like 3 times every game. And it's either he miss a tackle, he either does something stupid like get a penalty, or he finally gets a tackle. And I'm just like, damn, where you been all day? As for the Saints, this was a wake up game. You know, you played really well against a Patriots team that's iffy but actually doing really well, and it shows you that there's a lot to fix, both and not only on defense but especially on around the offensive line, but also that you did get Tyler Shuck. He's a project, but to basically tell you that like, hey, Spencer Rattler's not that bad as a quarterback as we thought he was. So we have to build a team around him. And I think they're gonna start to learn that. But yeah, to keep it rolling, the Browns played the Steelers, and all I gotta say for the Browns is that it's the same story as Browns. Jalen Gabriel did win 22 for 52 passing attempts, 220 passing yards. Do I got nothing to say here. There's nothing actually to really read there. So let's talk about the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers went 21 for 30, 335 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Ward went 11 carries for 52 yards. DK Metcalf had 4 receptions, 95 yards, and also Connor Hayward had 1 touchdown as well. Just saying this, the Browns need to get rid of Stefanski. It is time to get off the Stefanski train. He's had a couple of good seasons, one coach of the year a couple of times. They need to get rid of him. Like, it is over. He is done. Like, he is gone. And as for the Steelers, we're living in a bizarre world right now. I don't know what is wrong. We're living in some kind of bizarre world. Fucking Steelers are 4-1. How? Speaking of that, the Titans had an interesting thing because they lost to the Raiders yesterday. Now, what's weird about this is they did lose 20-10, which is it's a fair thing. It was gonna happen. I mean, could probably just fix it up and knew it was gonna happen. Cameron Ward did play pretty iffy. He had 26 completions with 38 passing attempts, 222 yards on the air, through the air. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Tony Pollard had 10 carries for 34 yards. And it was David Martin Jr. David Martin Robinson had 1 touchdown. He also had 1 reception. He also had the only reception for the touchdown, and his only reception went for 1 yard. As for other things, this is where I kind of see the problem. Geno Smith, 17 for 23, 174 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 23 carries, 75 yards, and 1 touchdown for Ashton Jeffrey. Trey Tucker had 5 receptions, 70 yards, 5 receptions, 50 yards, 1 touchdown for Michael Mayer. It's been said, and we all know this, the defense of the Titans is terrible. And they need to fix it. And it was that only that, but it was also just bad coaching and bad discipline. And that starts with a head coach. And that's why, as we all know, they ended up firing their head coach. They fired him to find for the future. And I mean, it's pretty good idea. Hasn't been well, but it is kind of weird that you fire a head coach this early in the season, only 6 weeks, especially when you play New England next week. And I know last year you beat us, but this ain't the same Patriots team as last year. There's a lot of changes on that team. Now, as for the Raiders, you're 2-4. You're still trying to bounce back. You're on the same plane as the Chiefs are. Not really. I know that it hasn't been so good, especially for Geno Smith. It hasn't been so good of an offensive year for you guys, but I think you guys will bounce back. Would this team be competitive in that division? Probably not. Will they be competitive for like a wild card spot? No. But do I feel like they will still have a little bit of a positive record by the end of the season? Yeah, I can see it happening. As for the Titans, just try not to kill Cam Ward. some couple games. 49ers, Buccaneers. This is gonna be quick. I'm gonna just kind of rush through these last few until we get to the Bills game because I got a lot to say there. Uh, 49ers 4-2 now that they just lost to the Buccaneers 30-19. Let's talk about it. Mac Jones returned to form. That's right. He returned to classic Mac Jones. He had 20 completions, 39 yards, 347 passing yards. But of course, in classic Mac Jones fashion, he threw the ball to the other team 2 times. Christian McCaffrey had 17 carries, 4 yards, and 1 touchdown finally on the ground. It was Kendrick Bourne who had 5 receptions, 442 yards. So he really well. But it was all about Baker. Yes, Baker is playing like the man. I'm saying it right now. I think Baker should win the MVP because look at him. He is playing just amazing this season. He had 17 completions, 23 passing attempts. He had 256 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Didn't even throw a pick. Rashad White had 17 carries, 56 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Sean Tucker had 6 carries for 25 yards that also went into the end zone. So, yeah, it was pretty much that type of game. Cameron Johnson had 4 receptions, 64 yards, and 1 touchdown, while Trey Johnson had 1 catch, went 45 yards, and he went his ass into the end zone. Emeka Buka didn't really do much. He had two receptions for 24 yards. But, yeah, other than that, it's always been a bad thing. The offense of the 49ers have been iffy, you know. Like there's weeks where they will play up to competition and they will play really well, and then there's weeks that they just kind of just almost forget they even are an offense, which is funny. As for the Buccaneers, there's really not a lot to talk about other than like you guys are legit, probably one of the best teams in the NFC, and you guys are proving it. You made big moves. Like you didn't make a lot of really big moves, but you made a lot of great drafting and pretty mediocre but pretty safe and well-rounded signings to basically get you into this situation here. So yeah, I mean, this is why the Buccaneers are just that good. Coaching and it's also really coaching. Todd Bowles is a genius, and I don't know why. I don't even have to say their name. They're terrible. Speaking of terrible, it was the Bengals versus the Packers. Packers won. They're 3-1-1. While the Bengals dropped down to 2-4 this week, and well, in classic Joe Flacco fashion, he played actually not that bad. It was just the rest of the team. Joe Flacco went 29 for 45 passing attempts, had 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Brown had 9 carries, 42 yards. Noon had 6 carries for 16 yards. Jamar Chase had 10 receptions, 94 yards, and 1 touchdown, while also it was Tanner Hudson that had 4 receptions, 10 yards, 1 touchdown into the end zone. Packers, though, it was Jordan Love who had 19 completions off of 26 passing attempts, 259 yards through the air, he had 1 touchdown and 1 interception thrown. It was Josh Jacobs who really helped this team. He had 18 carries, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Who caught the ball was, of course, the tight end, the man himself. It was Tucker Kraft who had 2 receptions, 43 yards, and 1 touchdown. What can I say about the Packers defense is really good. One thing I will admit, and I haven't been hearing a lot of, really a lot of, let's see his stats. Where have you been, buddy? I swear I haven't heard anything about Micah Parsons in a while, since like week 2 or 3. Listen, the Broncos, I don't see a lot of. The Bengals, I don't see a lot of doing much. 2-4 in a division that is not. Well, you can say, well, they're better than than the Ravens. That's because the Ravens are injured. If the Ravens were fully healthy, that team would actually be really well. As for the Packers, this Packers team, they're iffy sometimes, but if they can get the rhythm going, oh yeah. how can you tell that this team is not going to be a threat if they can get the rhythm going and not, also injuries. But yeah, I like the Packers. I think they're good, and I kind of see a lot coming from them. But only if they can do a lot of stuff. Oh, the interesting game of the week, of course, with the Chiefs. It was the Lions. Freaking Sunday Night Football. Chiefs win 30-17. The freaking Detroit go down to 4-2, while the Chiefs are 3-3. What can I say but Brian Branch, you dumbass? Um. So yeah. Jerry Goff had 23 completions for 29 passing attempts. He had 203 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs had 17 carries, 65 yards, 4 carries, and 24 yards for David Montgomery. Um, Jameson Williams had 6 receptions, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. 5 for Sam Laporta. He had 55 yards and 1 touchdown as well. On the Chiefs side, known it was all about Patrick. That's right. The man named Patrick Mahomes. It went 22 for 30, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco had 12 carries, 51 yards. Patrick carried the ball 10 times, had 32 yards and 1 touchdown. Travis Hunter, Travis Hunter. God, I'm thinking of why he hasn't caught the ball. I caught a touchdown. It's pissing me off. But it was Travis Kelce who had 6 receptions for 68 yards, but he is not the biggest factor. It was Hollywood Brown. He had 4 receptions, 45 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy, who's been back the last whole week, had 2 receptions, 20 yards, went into the end zone. What can I say? The Chiefs have been playing better since their last loss against Jacksonville, and that's a pretty good thing because they needed to step up. Um, they needed to step up, and especially when your team kind of started off the season looking like absolute dog shit. You need to find a rhythm, and I think the Chiefs have found their rhythm now. And it's all about like when are they gonna finally hit that second gear and blow out every other team in the NFL and basically be like, you know what, we're still the damn Chiefs. We're still the team. As for the Lions, though, this is a little iffy. I know that you're missing a lot of weapons. You can say, well, offense is not the same without Ben Johnson. Kind of true. But you're still the same Lions. I feel like they're just going to bounce back after this game, blow out a team, and then freaking we're just going to say, well, the Lions are that good again. I didn't expect them to lose, but it is pretty interesting that they did here. But the other thing to really talk about is Brian Branch and Juju Smith. My whole thing is was I don't know what Juju said. He probably was trying to shake his hand. The game emotion kind of gets to you like that. So I can kind of get why he kind of did because the emotions were probably fine. He's like, "Fuck, we just lost, man." Like, get the fuck out my face. But like at the same time, you still gotta be professional about it. You still gotta be like, good game. Walk off. You frustrated. You gotta take it out somewhere else. To take it on another man like that, was it funny to me? Hell yeah, it was funny to see Juju roll over the ground and all that shit, try to do something to Brian Branch. He's suspended with 1 game without pay. Kind of just stupid, you know. But at the same time, it is what it is. As for Juju, he doesn't get none. And I mean, kind of interesting, but yeah. Now it's time for Monday Night Football. And this is the one game I've been waiting to talk about. It was the Falcons versus the freaking Bills. 81-yard touchdown for B. John. Drake London played really well, but my whole thing is the damn Bills lost, which puts the New England Patriots back on the crown. They are now number 1 in the AFC East. How long would that be? I give it 2 weeks. But, but as for this, the Falcons did win. Michael Penix played an exceptional game. Like, he had a game. Speaking of games, Josh Allen went 15 completions, 26 passing attempts, went 180 yards through the air, had 2 touchdowns, but also threw the ball to the other teammate 2 times. 17 carries for James Cook. He only had 87 yards. Josh Allen did call his number 6 times, but he only had 42 yards. Josh Palmer, he had 2 receptions. He had 60 yards, but it was really these two guys. It was Dawson Knox who had a one reception, 19 that went for 19 yards into the end zone, and it was of course Ray Davis who had two receptions. He had 19 yards as well, but he also went into the end zone. But I'm talking about the Falcons, and the Falcons, wow, just wow. 20 for 32, 150 yards through the air, one touchdown for Penix. It was Bijan who had 19 carries. He had 170 yards. He also had an 81-yard touchdown, like I said. One touchdown for him. Tyler Algier, he had 10 receptions, 32 yards, and one touchdown. Michael Penix called his number twice. He had 6 yards on that one. Drake London, he had 10 receptions, went for 158 yards. He had one touchdown. Bijan had six receptions, 68 yards. He didn't get no touchdowns. And three for Kyle Pitts. He had 18 yards, but no touchdowns again. What can I say? Bad defensive play by the Bills. And that's been kind of the thing about the Bills. Their defense has been a little weird, you know? Especially in the last couple of weeks. It's been a little weird to see the defense. So it's kind of interesting. As for the Falcons, wow. Defense played well. Offense played well. Now, if you can play like this every week, we're talking about a wild card spot. Do I see them kind of battling toward that South with the Buccaneers? I can't see it. This is a team that could potentially actually steal one from the Bucs if the Bucs and them kind of tie it out and force a game with each other. I feel like it could be the Falcons. Now the problem is here is it's kind of iffy. Those first couple of drives, Bills seemed like they had something. If it wasn't for them kind of, at the end, I want to see this version of the Falcons, not the versions we got the last couple of weeks, and then they lose. So it's interesting, but it was another Monday night game that really took an actual interesting turn. Of course, it was the Bears versus the Commanders. Bears won 25-24. This game was really good. It was the number 1 and number 2 pick of last year. Remember last season, it went down to a Hail Mary for Jaden Daniels to win the game. This time, Caleb Williamson just had to play really well. He sat 17 for 29. He had 52 yards through the air. He had one touchdown. 14 carries, 108 yards. No touchdowns for you, Mr. DeAndre Swift. But who did get a rushing touchdown was Mr. Caleb Williamson. He had 4 for -2 yards and one touchdown. Speaking of touchdowns, it was DeAndre Smith who actually did end up going into the end zone, though. He had 2 receptions, he had 67 yards, and 1 touchdown. And also, DJ Moore had 3 receptions, 42 yards, and Rome Duze had 2 for 32. But it was Jaden Daniels' time to shine. And, well, kind of fumbled it. Jaden Daniels went 19 for 26. He had 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 17 carries for 66 yards when Ja'Cory Kaskis, I cannot say this name. I'm bad with names. So Ja'Cory, I'm sorry, but I'm calling Ja'Cory for now. Ja'Cory, he had 17 carries for 61 yards. Jaden Daniels called his number 10 times and 52 yards. Chris Moore, he had 3 receptions for 46 yards. And 1 touchdown. 6 receptions, 43 yards, and 1 touchdown for Mr. Zach Ertz, and 1 reception for 33 yards, and 1 touchdown for Luke McCaffrey. What can I say but just what can I say but other than just it was a back and forth game, but it was just one big mistake from the Commanders, and that's something you can't do, especially against teams that are going to challenge you more, like a Eagles, like a kind of right now the way they playing the Giants, like a Chiefs or a Lions or a Rams or a 49ers or the Bucks or even one of those like a Bills or New England, why they playing. They're going to challenge you and they're going to bring more pressure and more and definitely put more emphasis on you. And it's up to you to not make those mistakes when it matters to win the game. That's what happened here. You made a mistake that lost the game. Now I know you can say, well, it's bad weather conditions. It is true, but at the same time, as a coach, this is what something you train for. This is something you practice for. You're gonna know that there's gonna be games that either gonna be snowy, windy, rainy. Like it's anything can happen in the world, and that's when you, as a football team, needs to practice for those types of moments. Now, you never know when you're gonna need it, but you're gonna practice for it just in case it does happen. I don't know if the Commanders ever did, but that's what they should have done. As for the Bears, you need to start playing better. You are right now looking really well, and especially with the Detroit losing, you're up there to basically nearly lead that division. I need you to see this team play really well, and I kind of like the Bears. I like Caleb. I think Caleb's a great quarterback, but it's just when are they finally going to take that step into being actual challengers? That's the question. Um, that's mostly it for now. Next time you see me will be for Thursday night football. That'll be on Friday or Saturday. I don't know which one. Actually Friday, early. As for this dude, you see him later on today when he talks about what happened on Raw yesterday. So I'll be seeing y'all. Uh, so I'll